Hello, everyone, and welcome to our speaker series. I am so excited for today. First, let me introduce myself. I am Debbie Levine. I am on the board here at the NCGR Chapter in South Florida, and we have an incredible workshop coming up. It is on March 21st, it's Saturday, March 21st. And what's best about it is that you could attend it locally here in South Florida or online. And the amazing speaker that we're going to get to meet
Oh my.
is Grace Morris. Like, for me, I'm super excited because I am like, I love the stock market. I love finance. I have an accounting background. So, like, this is such a treat to have her come and share her wisdom and knowledge. I'm just going to give you a little bit about her and then she could tell you more. But yeah, she's like I feel like you're like one of the women pioneers in this field, right? Totally. The name of her company is AstroEconomics. We're going to learn all about how she got into astrology and then like moved to make this niche, right, of astroeconomics. But she's published 26 books. I can't wait. I'm getting her her most recent book. It's on my to-do list after this interview. And she also publishes two newsletters, which I got a preview of both of those newsletters. Like amazing, amazing, amazing. So without further ado, though, let me introduce Grace. She's going to be coming up. I didn't tell you the topic is 2026 financial astrology. And she's going to be sharing with us, even if you're not like someone like if you're new to the markets, maybe you're new to astrology and the markets. Like this is going to be such a great foundation to get a big picture understanding of all this. Like what is hot for 2026? Now, I don't know if she's going to share any during this interview, but I know when she comes to see us on March 21st, we're going to get some good tips. So, anyway, Grace, tell us, like,
That's wonderful, Debbie. Thank you so much.
you're welcome. I'm I'd love to know from people, like just in general, first, how did you get into astrology? Like, what was the call that came to you that you're like, I think this stuff is pretty interesting.
Well, I've always been interested in both applying psychology, Dr. Jung, to astrology, and the different fields that can be applied to what I think is mathematics tables called astrology and the study of cycles. So it was kind of a natural because I was working with traders from the Chicago Board of Trade, teaching and adding a lot of astrology. And that developed into the financial area of working with businesses and other hedge fund managers. I'll say to people at webinars, if the hedge fund managers, if they're so smart, how come they lose billions of dollars sometimes for their clients? So astrology adds a third element. Astroeconomics is really a combination of fundamentals in stock picking and in the economy, and technical analysis, and last, planetary cycle analysis. And that gives us an edge.
Yeah, so
That's how I started.
like, do you think that gives us an edge over like traditional
Mhm.
investors out there?
Well, and as I said, I have a master's in psychotherapy, so that has been very helpful in working with CEOs, people, with clients, of course. But it all works together. The financial, the better shape you're into, and uh, ways of feeling that you're really the manager of your own portfolio. You're in
Yeah,
charge, which is pretty important. And then you
absolutely.
can use the financial information that much more effectively.
So you like that you so what you're saying is we can't ignore the fundamentals. We still got to start with the fundamentals
Well,
and then
is
the
a company
technical.
going to go bankrupt, or is it going to succeed? And we can tell by the astrological chart pretty much what's going on. And I've worked with large companies many times as they were either going to go into bankruptcy or whatever. That's a whole
Oh,
another subject.
which charts do you like to use when you're looking at this?
Well, the Solar Fires program I've used for years and years. And of course, Gary Kristen and Madeline Hillis have been so active in NCGR that I'm proud of all the work they've done in developing the programs.
Yeah.
But I use in between the Investors Business Daily and the uh, several different techniques. The Investors Business Daily really provides you with both fundamental information and uh, the graphs are great to look at what's happening in the cycles, the trends.
Right, right.
And you put that together with astrology, and you really, my newsletter is 30 years old. I was doing uh, the astrology conference and the world conferences. And that's where we introduced a lot of commodities trading as well as the stock market. And
Hmm.
out of that, I think it was Singapore, London, Sydney, so one of them along the ways, I decided to write the stock market newsletter. And believe it or not, a lot of the people who became subscribers are still subscribers to the newsletter. So
Oh, that's
feel
awesome.
pretty good about our success record. And I say that's because those cycles work. We're going to look at like real estate cycles too and economic cycles, but definitely a focus on how to pick winning stocks. There is a magic formula that I discovered through these many years. I'm not going to give it to you right now, but if you come to the workshop, I will tell you which stock, what patterns to look for to buy stocks that go over $1,000 a share.
Wow.
Priceline's a good example. I put it in years ago at, I think it was 151, $151. It's over 5,000 now. So
Wow.
all the Magnificent Sevens have the magic formula. And it's amazing. When I see them come up, I make recommendations every month. And when I see that pattern, that one goes right in because even if they're slow getting off the ground, which like Facebook, which became Meta, it took them a year and a half. I had written an article about this new company looked like it was really going to do well, and it just sat there. Most of them take off immediately, and I thought, oh, what the heck? But eventually, and there it is today. Meta is one of the magnificent seven.
Yeah. So that's so interesting that you bring that up because like in your experience, like does it always work? I mean, I know it sounds
It all,
crazy.
oh, that
Like it might
formula
be slow,
does.
but it always works.
Well, that's like the maybe the exception that proves the rule or whatever. But it is amazing. Most of them do take off pretty fast. And in my book, I usually give for the year ahead the dates. Sometimes there's only 3 or 4 dates that trade stocks that trade on that those days will actually. Uh, uh, they have, of course, have to be good stocks too,
Right,
fundamentally
right.
and technically. But that's the edge, and those are the ones that really do extremely well.
So is it possible then for a stock to have this great potential chart but not have good fundamentals?
Well, if it doesn't, it's probably not going to keep trading. It's sort of like the right time gives the void of courses in any. There's no stocks on the exchanges that are void of course. So that meaning that there's no aspects between the moon and the planets in the solar system. And I sure wouldn't open a business on void of course because that's going no place. And I learned a long time ago that if the Congress submits a bill on void of course, it's going nowhere. Or people announce their running for some position. So there's a calendar in the right time that shows the void of course days, and to
Yeah.
go do your laundry, or you can just don't make business calls or start any new projects.
I have to tell you, I heard you do an interview and talk about that. And I was like, man, when I picked my business charts for my business for Fun with Astrology, I was like so focused, like I wanted to have like a Leo, a Leo chart, and I wanted it to have an Aries moon, so I'd be emotionally
No,
connected, right? But I was like, I forgot to check. So last night I went and I checked the two dates of things that started my business to make sure. I'm like, oh God, thank God there was no void of course moon.
see, follow your gut feeling. The instincts, which many of the CEOs refer to, is a good thing to follow. Trust your unconscious, because there's a lot of information there that Dr.
Yeah.
Carl Jung would tell us. Watch the signposts along the way. But
Yeah.
and definitely a combination of good mathematics, which I love and enjoy. But watching these cycles, they've worked for 100 years, like the real estate cycles. They've
Yeah.
checked back 100 years, and these patterns, the highs and the lows, which will be another subject that we'll cover in
Oh,
the
good.
workshop. And if you buy on a high, you're probably not going to make a profit. But 11 years later at the bottom, if you buy then, you're starting the climb up. And that's the way to make money in real estate. Pick the right time.
Ooh. I can't wait to find out that because I've been thinking about potentially
Mhm.
getting another place. So I want to make sure I'm buying it right. And that's the thing is there's so much. I was even this morning, you go on your phone, it automatically pulls up like, all the Google articles it thinks you're going to like. And of course, it pulls
Right,
up a lot
right,
of
right,
finance stuff for
right.
me because I'm Googling that all the time. And I thought to myself, I'm like, yeah, there's so much noise out there of like what this analyst predicts or that, the real estate market's going down. And then I talked to my real estate friends here in Florida. They're like, I don't know, maybe that's for everyone else, but not here in Florida, or at least South Florida.
It's location, location,
Look,
location.
right? And so do you feel like astrology helps us cut through some of the noise of all that information that's coming to us from all these
Oh,
analysts that aren't using astrology?
well, those conferences I talked about years ago, these were all the astrologers. Well, most of them were men at that point, and oh, geez, I was too many things flashed into my head thinking about all of that. But yeah. Uh, what's the question? I can't believe that.
No worries. It was
It's so
about like
exciting.
in today's world, we have so much information coming to us from this
Exactly.
analyst and that analyst, and there's so much noise, and a lot of them's contradictory. One analyst is yay, one is
Exactly.
no, one is this,
Exactly.
right?
And
So
I,
it's like there's astrology, right? Because they don't have that third layer. They're going on their
yeah,
other layer.
absolutely. How could I forget that? Well, I was also thinking in the Fibonacci numbers and all. I mean, there was everything going on at that point. And, but when you put it all together, it just is really amazing, the information that astrology is like. Many people will say, well, this is my secret weapon. I'm not about to broadcast what I'm doing. Well, that's
Right.
whereas it as confidential a field as anybody else who's assisting and
Yeah.
people in whatever they're doing, especially financial.
Which actually makes me think of two different things wanted to ask you
Okay,
about. So
go
hopefully I
right
won't forget
ahead.
the second one. I'm going to start with the first one because you mentioned that years ago when you started this, right? It was mostly men, right? Because mostly men were in the field of investing. So how did you break through?
Well, let me say this. I was president of the League of Women Voters, so I've always been very active in and everything. And I think it's important. I think we should have continued civics classes, but that's another story. And know your history, geography. The more information that you have, the better you're able to use cycles because you can put it together with what you're interested in.
Mhm.
There's certainly medical doctors who are using it now. That's not my field at all. Financial is in psychology is, but you are, as I said, adding to it the history of all these cycles, and they've worked. And so mathematics is pretty important. You better like adding one and one or two
Yeah.
because
I
it
was
is numbers.
all about the numbers. The numbers
Right.
don't lie,
That's right.
right? People always would say that to me. They're like, "How did you go from being like an accountant to a consultant to an astrologer?" I'm
That's
like,
right.
"Please." I'm like, "It's all numbers."
Mhm.
And they're like, "Astrology's not numbers." I'm like, "It's totally
Yes, it
numbers."
is.
I always tell when I teach
I
the
think that's what
beginners.
Sir Isaac Newton was doing. And
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm always like, "There's a little bit of math in there, but don't worry, I'm going to help you."
and today with computers, I mean, really.
Everything so,
But
right?
I always felt that it was important to teach beginners when I was teaching that they had an accurate chart.
Yeah.
Where is the sun? If it's not in the right place, your computers it may have made a mistake. It's hard to believe as it is.
And you know what else? This is a total side note of why I love that we're meeting today. Why I'm wearing purple today too, is because it's International Women's Day. Did you know that today?
Uh, how could I not? My goodness. But the history, I think what's really disappointing is to see, well, now I'm getting off the track, but then so many of the things that we fought for in women's rights, unfortunately, uh, the dynamics of it and all that work that went into place and the women, as well as, because I had a very supportive husband and kids and
Mhm.
which really helps. But I'm a great believer in that there's no reason that women can't do whatever, and they are entitled to rights. Why we're going through this phase? Well, I know Pluto and Aquarius, but that's another
That's
lecture.
another topic, right? Another topic. But you persevere, right? You got into the
It's
financial
always been
world,
important to me.
right? When it was a man's world, and
Oh,
right, it
yeah,
was a man's
women
world,
back
but
then.
you,
Yeah, I had clients who came in and they couldn't even get a bank account starting a business, women, because they were not allowed. You couldn't do that without a man's signature on your checking account.
mm,
Those were the days, and I
hard
hate
to
to see us
believe.
repeating it, and I hope we don't get that far.
Yeah, I always use a saying by Mark Twain that history doesn't repeat itself, but it often rhymes.
You got it. That is a good one, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like it's totally because everyone's always panicked, like, oh my God, when they hear about
Yeah.
the cycle, like, is that going to happen exactly like that again? I'm like, it's not going to be exactly like that,
And
but
it's another combination of factors.
yeah,
But it is what's amazing, like the pandemic was a Saturn Pluto conjunction, which not only damaged the economy, but that one was easy to call because 500 years earlier, the pandemic or epidemic of smallpox occurred in Mexico. The Spanish invaders killed Montezuma, and that was the end of the Aztec uh, uh, culture. So you knew something not too great was coming. And in about a month before that, I have a normal business clientele, but I got flooded. And it was all a case of the only way to make the business succeed was to go forward. The Saturn Pluto, it was like you cannot go back. And so whatever else was there, and only one company, I had to say it because I had mentioned to them that their company uh, would be going through a difficult time, and they got a buyer who knew how to run the business, wanted to do it. They changed their mind and retired, and unfortunately, the business failed.
Mm.
So it is so important to have the right time.
It's all about the timing, right? It's all
It's
about
all
the
a matter of timing. That's
all
right.
about the time. So is there even in so like because I know in your monthly newsletter, right?
Mhm.
For the market. Like you're giving that newsletter out at the, I guess you probably do it right before the month starts. But is there timing in that too of like these are the, whatever, three or four stocks that you guys are looking to buy and put in
Exactly.
the portfolio?
Right,
But are
right,
there
right.
days within the month that you predict as better days to purchase, or is that when the
Well,
fundamentals come in?
really like the right time. The newsletter is strictly a focus on what's going in the economy at that point, and also what stocks may be in trouble and other get rid of. I think it's a good idea to assess your portfolio every month and get rid of your losers before you start buying new ones. And people starting out should really only start with maybe four or five so they can keep an eye on them. And if they are winners, keep adding to the position. It's like the Magnificent Seven. These last several years, it's been a glory to watch those stocks go.
Yes. I love
Just
that.
saying.
I wrote this note down, and one of the things I was watching from you, and I loved it because like human behavior cannot understand this. So we have to almost trick our brains. But it was like most people are like buy low, sell high, right? That's like the
Mhm.
normal emotional reaction to stuff. But then I listened to you and you're like, no, high goes higher and low goes lower. And I,
Why
I
would
wrote
you
myself
want
this big note so that I wouldn't forget because I'm guilty of that. I'm like, oh, it's
to?
too high.
Why
Can't
buy
get
a loser?
it. Right? Yeah, that was one I totally.
In terms of we got enough to deal with the Pluto and Aquarius culture we're living in.
Oh my gosh. And so that do you find that you intertwine that as well? Because I know you said that you originally started with the psychotherapy and astrology,
Mhm.
and there is a very psychological component to investing and the market. Do you see that like play out when
Oh,
you're
absolutely. And we're sure going to talk about that at the workshop.
Oh, we are. Shoot. All right, you guys. Oh, we gotta find. I'm like dying of curiosity on this stuff. So I'm like, all right, I'm gonna remember from this interview all the things she promised to tell us at the workshop. Don't
That's
you guys
right.
worry.
I promise.
Because like another question that I've heard and I've shared this a lot because I've heard it and I looked at the cycle myself about whenever Neptune goes into a fire sign. And I'm like, oh,
Oh,
Neptune's in
is
a
that a
fire sign, right?
winner? Oh, we are repeating. We have just begun another fire sign 14-year Neptune cycle, and
Yes.
it's repeating 1970s to 1984. And interest rates and uh, inflation went up to 18%, 21%. And people did not believe it. And at that point, I also said that after it comes down November 1984, we would go into low cycles, 2%, and it stayed that way. People who were looking for hyperinflation again never happened. In Japan, they were paying people. Here it was 2%, but those are the cycles. And we're now back to 1970 to 84. And so if anybody is promoting that we're going to have inflation go lower, unfortunately, these cycles work.
Yeah, I know. People I tell, like, and especially like I was in the market for finding a wealth manager to manage part of my
Right,
portfolio,
right,
not
right,
all mine.
right.
And, I would try and see what their take is on some of this stuff. And, everybody thinks that things can be different. Like, oh, it won't happen. This
This
won't happen
time.
again.
Oh,
Right?
right.
How many times have you heard that? Oh, no, no,
I
no. It's
went through
different.
that in 2008, and I'm an optimist. And I started saying we really could be heading for a recession. And it wasn't until Bear Stearns collapsed in March of 2008, and then Lehman Brothers in September of 2008. So, and here again, the following year, 2009, we came to the bottom cycle in real estate. And using cycles, I picked the turnaround date, which was March 29th, I think, of 2009. And in August was the starting to rise again in the real estate cycle. So
Yeah.
it works. I mean, nobody has to convince me. I've seen it.
I know. And I see that even in, I don't know if you ever talked to cryptocurrency, but I see it in that too when some people are like, this time the cycle is going to be different. I'm like, I don't know. I'm like, you
I
know,
always say, are you willing to lose 20,000 overnight in your investments? Because one of my cardinal rules is do not invest in anything that does not have assets to back it up.
mm,
And companies have good market caps, especially those Magnificent Seven. If you ask yourself how what backs up an investment, don't, and it has nothing to back it up, but it's a Ponzi scheme. It's a belief that enough people are going to buy in, and you're hoping you're on the top, not the.
you have to hope you're not the one with the hot potato at the end, right?
Yes, that's right.
Oh my gosh. And so, ta can you share with people? So, a lot of, like, I personally have always been my own stock picker, right? I've done my own investing, but most of my friends and most people that I know, they have someone who manages their money for them.
I will, you will hear at the workshop, become your own portfolio manager. There is plenty of good information you have to use. And you need to make, if you have a 401k or something that doesn't let you tell them, please don't sell a stock or please buy this, then get yourself a discount broker and start your own
That's true,
portfolio.
because a lot of people, like, I remember when I was working for a company at a 401k, you really, they usually gave you like mutual fund choices.
You're right.
So, which were sector based, right? There was large cap, small cap, value go, right? There was, international, this and that. So, can you use the techniques that you're going to be sharing with us to
I think
understand?
there's a much better, more, it's like in dividend stocks. I used to always disagree, particularly with some family members who love dividend stock. And when you see what the Magnificent Seven, I'm back to again. I mean,
Right.
these are stocks that went up $1,000, and certainly 500 or
Yeah.
$600. Is that anything anywhere near the dividend? And I'm not, for people who really are risk adverse and do not, want to even play the markets. This is a choice they make, but this has been a great way to go, and I think we still have more. The markets have always had ups and downs, and if I have a perfect graph that shows the market always is really, it may pull back, which is a good time to buy, and it keeps going. So
Yeah.
the market's a pretty good place to be.
Do you think that there's another seven
Yes.
behind these seven?
Oh, another seven. Probably. I mean, with AI, Claude, and all the new, I just love all the new parts to the artificial intelligence scene and data centers. It's amazing. And that's why I started to put energy stocks in because it is, they need so much energy.
So much, yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I love. I mean, I will see when it comes to reality, but I had heard Elon Musk talking about having putting solar panels out in space, right? Because it like it
I
can cook
mean,
so much.
and he and the CEO of NVIDIA are, I love to listen to Jensen Huang because he talks about 10 years in the future. And listening to him 10 years back and the 5 years, or maybe last week, his ideas are so far ahead. When you have people in your culture, and of course, NVIDIA has been a very successful stock, and I think it will continue to be the chip
Mm.
maker.
It has a good chart.
Well, absolutely. You're asking about that magic formula? Absolutely.
Okay. And for those charts, is it the first trade? Like, this is only for public companies, right? So is it the first trade chart or is it when the company was established?
And with like bookings, which was Priceline, both the incorporation chart and the first trade chart have the magic formula.
Have the magic formula.
And I
Okay.
will show graphs of what to look for and how to find those
That is
combinations.
awesome. What about on the people side of this? I know this is like, I don't know, this question just
What
popped in my
about
head. Like, meaning, like, is everybody, our personal chart, so say in this case, like my chart, is every chart have the opportunity to be successful using the
in some way,
astroeconomics?
but that makes an assumption. And being uh, very much interested in the psychology of people. And this would be Jung, this is our process and what we do with it. I'm a great believer in free will.
Yes,
And
me
I
too.
wouldn't make too good of a Hindu astrologer. Everything is fated because I think we have a lot of choices. Unfortunately, we may make bad choices, but then you could always pick a good therapist and and work on it. But uh, what people do with, I mean, somebody could have a fabulous chart. They're always winning maybe 1,000 or whatever at lotto or something. But other things in their life are really goofy. So what do you want? Yeah, I think if you can find who you are and be the best of who you are, that's pretty good. And if
Yeah.
you choose to be helpful, especially in a time where and helping others seems to be a lost art. So, uh,
Mm.
good people is, I think, pretty important.
So you mentioned lotto, which makes me think of gambling.
Yeah.
And so where do you think like we have Jupiter going to be entering Leo soon? And
Well, to see Leo is a sign of gambling.
I know.
And my concern is, I can remember years ago when we started to go to Cancun, and we had a salesman back then whose father was ambassador, and the people were asking about gambling, and he said if we ever have gambling, Cancun will not exist because
Mm,
unless it's so heavily regulated. And look at the vehicles right now for gambling. They're gambling on the most weird things.
yes.
That doesn't last. It's like selling the lotto to school for school programs and then never really doing that. If anybody's listening and bond issues are coming up or people wanting to gamble to pay for schools, please get the best school system you can by bond issues and being interested in. Okay, that's my.
So Jupiter's going to Leo, but we don't think we should be betting on the gambling stocks.
uh, the goofy stuff, and I will not name them, but there's every uh, day there's something on CNBC of what's happening. And I'm thinking, geez, by July we'll be into the full year with it. Right now we're into Cancer.
Yeah.
So the building and food and so forth is big. But that's a great time to make money is when you go from Jupiter in one sign into Jupiter in another sign and get rid of the sectors that were under Cancer and start buying. But there's a lot of things in Leo, high-end clothes and uh,
Oh,
children's
fashion.
stuff, and yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
But
can't wait for it.
as I said, I'm concerned because I don't think uh, unregulated gambling is a good way to go.
Yeah. And so when you have this workshop, are we going to talk about how each of the planets can influence it, like how Pluto influences it, how Jupiter, how Saturn, because right, Saturn would
Absolutely. And
restrict.
if there is anything I don't cover, uh, I am always open to questions. So any
Yeah.
questions of anything that we didn't cover, I am
Yeah,
really
because I'm
glad to
super
take.
curious too about Uranus. Like, I felt like when Uranus entered Taurus, that's when we first started to hear about this crazy, Bitcoin. Like before that, people didn't really know about Bitcoin, and then all of a sudden, it's
You
came
make
into
the
our awareness.
connections through keywords. And
Yeah.
it's really important with Jupiter going into Gemini. I mean, now Uranus going into
Yeah.
Gemini. We are repeating the early 1940s. In other words, it went
Mm.
into Gemini about 3 months before December 7th, which was the bombing of Pearl Harbor and the beginning of World War II. So guess what we're bombing now as Jupiter's going, I mean, Uranus is going into Gemini.
Oh, wow. You can't make this stuff up, can you?
You can't.
The cycles are the cycles. And unfortunately, like human behavior, like the psychotherapy of it, like like we we're, a lot of people are always in denial, like it can't possibly happen again.
That's right. And what happens? It happens again.
Yeah. So I always like to think of like I have this like process, not as good as your astroeconomics, but like my whole thing is awareness, right? Astrology makes us aware, right? That's great.
Exactly.
But the
Yeah.
second step is acceptance. So if you don't accept that awareness, then the awareness means nothing, right? And
Uh-huh.
then even if you accept it, if you don't do the third step, because I'm a traveler like you, so all my stuff has like travel things to it, like AAA. I call it my AAA methodology, awareness, acceptance. But the last
Well,
part is
because you're a
action.
triple A, right?
I'm like, if you could be aware, but if you don't accept it, it means nothing. And if you accept it, but you don't do anything, it means nothing. Right? So
I
you
think
need
you have a
to
pretty good philosophy.
right? So we need to learn and be aware, right? By coming to this workshop. For those of you that are like on the fence, you're like, should I join? Should I not join? First of all, if you live in South Florida or anywhere near us, come and join us in person because just meeting other people that you can connect, right? Such, we have a strong astrology community down here is amazing. Now, if you don't live here, don't feel left out because this is a hybrid event and you could attend via Zoom. And we make sure that we always monitor the chat and stuff like that. But you want to come because we are heading on big things, right? I mean, everyone knows we have, Pluto's newly in Aquarius, basically. We got Neptune newly in Aries, Saturn in Aries, Uranus going in Gemini, and then Jupiter is going, moves every year, but he's moving into Leo. We have like every single planet. Like this is a big, these are like this isn't a tiny new cycle. This is a big new cycle. And a lot of
Huge,
people,
huge.
right? A lot of us have been hearing about these cycles as it's going to impact the collective, right? But at the end of it, right, we need to, what Grace is going to help us is she's going to help us focus on the financial aspect of it so that we could,
Right.
that's an important part, right? I know not everything's all about money, although my moon is in the second house, so sometimes it gets confused about that.
Full pantry syndrome. Do we have enough canned goods on the shelf?
Oh my God. You don't want to see my closet because I did prepare just in case. I rotate out my cans just in case.
How did I know?
But you know what? I do live in Florida and we have to always be prepared for hurricane season at the same time.
That's right.
So
That's
I
right.
feel like it's dual.
Yes.
Right? So it's important, right? You don't want to be one of those people that's left out there being like, man, I didn't see this coming, right? We can't say that because we have cycles and grace is going to bring us awareness and you will be able to see it coming. The question is going to be is are you willing to accept right? These new awareness that she will be sharing with us, right? Because I'm like, I can't wait. Like, what's going to happen with the real estate market? Should I be buying? Should I be selling? Right? What's going to happen in the stock market? What does this mean? What cycles are we going to be repeating? Right? And
Yeah,
that's
that's for sure.
this is going to be interesting too, right? Because each of these planets have had these type of cycles, but not at the same time, right? So we have to like
Right.
merge this to like
Yes,
really get the big picture. We can't look at any of these in isolation, can we?
that's right. And each time something occurs, it is a different mix of aspects,
Yeah.
transits. Mhm.
And so now if people like, even if you're brand new to astrology, you're like, I don't really
Mhm.
know how to read charts perfectly, that's okay, right, Grace? They are still going to
They
get so
might
much
be
out of it.
interested in the financial part of it and can pick that up. And it's a great thing if you're an astrologer and you're adding financial so that your own portfolio looks good.
Yes. And also, even if you've never done your own investing, right? This is your chance, right? To learn a little bit. You could do a little bit at a time. I always tell that to people. I have so many friends that are afraid they've never been in the stock market. I'm like, listen, you go in small, you test the process. Because once we test something, right? And that's one of the things math people and even astrology, right? Astrologers, like we're always testing things to see how things will turn out. So you test it, right? So you subscribe to Grace's newsletter and you
Oh, yeah.
test out a few, and that's what builds confidence, right? That's what builds
Right. Oh,
confidence.
and by the way, they can get a free one at our website, AstroEconomics. A free copy of the newsletter. And,
Oh my gosh, that's so gracious of you. I'm like,
well,
okay, so, right, how do we find Grace? We go to www.astroeconomics.com,
that's
right?
it.
That's her website. And in there, I did see that. You'll see a big button and it says request a free
Mhm.
newsletter. So you could get the free one, see what it's like, right? And I also
That's
love,
it.
she shared with me the timing one too. I was like, ooh, this is good because I have to sign something. I want to know what dates are the best dates to sign,
Exactly, exactly.
right?
And
And I
once you
run,
see it work,
right? Once you
it's
see work. And
amazing.
I run 4 workshops a month in my membership. And, I'm always looking for the basic stuff. Like, I won't do it during a void of course moon and I won't do, right? I got the basics,
Exactly.
but Grace actually gives you dates, like the perfect dates to hold workshops,
Right. Exactly.
right? So
And
you
send
don't
your
have to
mailings
guess.
out. Mhm.
And I even think to myself as an astrologer, I'm like, Debbie, you could do that yourself, but then I think to myself, I am so
It's
busy.
a
I
lot
don't
of
have time
work.
to do all that stuff. Like Grace is doing it for
Yeah,
me. I
yeah.
have other things I have to be preparing and doing in my astrology world. We can't be everything, right? So we need to find the experts.
Delegate, delegate, delegate. Do
Exactly.
what you do best. And I used to do stress management workshops. Do more of what you really like to do and delegate out the stuff you don't like to do.
Exactly. Right? Like I don't love to do research. I don't know why.
It's a
That's a
lot of work.
delegation task, right?
That's right.
So,
Yeah,
right? So, so that's the benefit of getting these type of newsletters, right? Is that you don't have to go and spend the time to figure out what are the most perfect dates, right? So Grace gives them to you.
that's
And then
wonderful.
with the stock market, you don't have to figure out what's in style for this month. What should you
Mhm.
buy? What should you hold? What are we getting rid of? Right? And you could, right? You could go to one of those traditional financial people, right? I subscribe to some of the Patreons and some of the newsletters, but
Absolutely.
to have their information and yours at the same time, if we see it
Mhm.
together, we know we got hit.
Exactly. Exactly.
And I will share with you, I follow this one guy on Patreon. I'm in his Patreon, and every now and then it cracks me up when he says something. He goes, "Well, I've heard about like what happens, with this stock during the full moon." And I'm like, "You just can't make this stuff up."
Yeah, the therapy offices are jammed. My fellow therapist we used to call, and she'd say, "There must be a full moon. The office is just loaded."
Yeah. And I even heard him talk about like when they were trying to predict when Elon Musk was going to take SpaceX public.
Oh, when he
right?
would shoot off, yeah.
Yeah, because his birthday, because so they were predicting June and they were giving all the reasons, because it's his birthday. And then there was
Mhm.
like something else that the guy said that was about like astrological or something. I don't remember. It might have even been Jupiter going into Leo. But anyway, I just found it funny how like
Oh, absolutely. You can almost, I can, I think, oh, that's he just said, or she, and they must be using an astrologer because
mhm,
yeah, they're
yeah.
avoiding certain periods and not doing certain things.
Yeah, but that right, isn't that it? Like people don't always like to tell their secrets. They don't want to outwardly come out and say,
Why
yeah,
should they?
right? That I use an
Especially if
astrologer.
they're paying very well for their service.
Ex-
But I was thinking of Ronald Reagan, who would always say to his wife, what does Joan say, Nancy? Because Joan Quigley was his astrologer. Sometimes he wouldn't have press conferences for months, and his travel was all set up by Joan Quigley.
Yeah, yeah, it's right. It's one of those things like how a lot of people don't believe in astrology, but then when they have to do something, they're right there calling and
I'll just check that. Yes. I'll just,
just double check.
yes, yes.
Is your
Or
family and friends
see.
calling you all the time? Are they
No comment.
are they like, Grace, what's the best stock tip for the year?
I'm kind of busy right now.
Oh my gosh. Well, this has been so much fun. All right, before we
Really?
go though,
Yeah.
I want to give you a chance. Like, what is one thing that you would tell someone who's on the fence, or maybe people are even excited to come, that is that they're going to get from this workshop? That's so imp the value for them to come and show
I
up.
guarantee that there will not just be one thing, but that they will be amazed at how many things they can apply easily to become more prosperous, more in control is a better word of their
Yeah,
own finances. We're going
right.
to work at
Because you're
it.
going to make us aware, but they still have to take action.
Exactly.
Exactly. They have to take action. So in
And
case you
I always like to make it fun, so it's not uh,
Well,
tedious.
I like that because
Mhm.
this Aries fire girl is like, if it's not
That's
fun,
right.
I'm
Exactly.
not playing.
That's right. Definitely.
I love it. So everyone, come on, you could already see how much fun this is going to be. You don't want to miss out. Now, if you're saying to yourself, but Debbie, I have plans on that Saturday. Well, that's okay because when you buy this workshop, you will get the replay. Right? You'll get the replay, which is going to be important because I know for someone like me, Grace, I could already tell based on the list. I don't know if you guys have seen the long list of all the stuff she's going to cover, but she's not just covering about the stocks, she's covering about real estate, inflation, interest rate. Like her list is so long and what she's going to cover. You're going to need to watch this more than once. Right? You're going to want
And
to
then
go back.
you can see those graphs and the screens. Yeah. And
Yeah.
you don't have to worry about taking notes. You've got it all.
Exactly. So just signing up, even if hopefully, I want you to come and attend live so we could all get together in our South Florida community. That would be great. If you can't, Zoom is your next best thing. Come and join. We make sure that you're part of the party. And if you can't do either, you could still sign up for the workshop because you'll get the replay that you can watch at your own leisure. That way you could stop, pause, really look at the charts, take your own little mental notes there. And and then you can have a prosperous 2026 because 2026 is a new
Absolutely.
year. It's a new beginning. It's a numerology number year. It's the year of the fire horse. Like this is your time,
Yeah.
right?
Debbie,
Grace is gonna
you great.
Grace is gonna grace us with wisdom.
A lot of
So
material.
all right. Well, somewhere below this video, there's going to be a button for you to sign up. So come sign up and join us. We can't wait to have you. And I can't wait to hear all Grace is going to share with us. So come and have some fun.
It's
All
been a
right.
pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. Ciao, ciao, everyone.
Bye bye.